Okay, so we've done our ultimate TV cricket commentary team, and we put together, so we had a presenter, Richie Benno, and then our team was made up of the likes of Tony Gregg, Bumble, Ravi Shastri, Sonny, was Sonny Gavaskar in there?
No, I don't
Harsha.
think so.
Harsha, NASA.
Did we have Simon Dool or Ian Bishop?
No, but
Holding.
we had Mel Jones.
Mel Jones was in there, yeah.
Mel Jones and Michael Holding. So we've discussed what makes a good TV commentary team, but what about radio? So first off, difference between radio commentary and cricket commentary, TV commentary.
So, I mean, he's probably better to answer this, but you pointed at me and now I'm halfway through. But essentially, radio commentary is an actual conversation where you have to pause occasionally, so it's conversation and rhythm. TV commentary really is adding something to the pictures, and you are more dictated by what is on the screen. Whereas a radio commentator the ball-by-baller is in complete control. They are the producer, the director, and everything when they are commentating. Whereas there's no stage where a TV person is ever like that. Plus, you have to throw to more often than not ads and packages and everything else. Whereas radio commentary really is a conversation that has a rhythm to it.
You've done both, and I'll get your thoughts on what makes a good radio commentator. What did you always prefer? Someone who's done both for many, many years, TV or radio? What gets the best out of Bumble?
I would think radio, because of, there's a flow to it. You having a conversation more often than not, and that has changed from when I first started. Very interesting that the commentator, ball by ball, would call the full over, and the summariser would come in between overs, shut up at the start of the next, and the commentator would call the next 6 deliveries, or 8 deliveries as it was. And so that lead commentator, in my opinion, on radio has to have a journalistic background, and not necessarily, or most probably not be a player. Your summariser, in my opinion, has to be a player who's done it. And so he can draw on his experience of doing it and having a good idea of what's going on. So to get back to the commentator, the ball by ball, that's got to be descriptive as to what's happening out there right now. And you can be descriptive about the game, about the umpires, about the crowd, and with Henry Blofeld about the buses. But you've got to be descriptive and you keep going. And there are just natural pauses, whereas in TV you've got to stop. Yeah. Shut up. Not in India. You're told in India, talk. And it works in India, that works perfectly in India. And it doesn't work in the UK. It doesn't. It tends to work in Australia, talk, just keep going. Whereas my own view is there's that time, that Richie time of reflection, and just let it wash and let the pictures tell the story. But radio is, it's bang on radio.
So we're going to put together our team. So what is it? 3 ball-by-ballers, because usually in radio the hour is split into 3.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
20 minutes each, and then we'll have what? I tell you what, we've got a good budget, right? So we'll have 4 balls.
So this is not talkSPORT.
4 summarisers.
4 summarisers.
Okay. No, not everybody's on at the same time. This is one of the wonderful things. You mix and match, and people come on at different times. So we're going to go. Should we go ball-by-ballers first?
Yes.
Okay. So who's the first one that comes to your mind straight off?
So the one that comes to my mind, I'm not sure if either of you will know him, but Tim Lane from Australia. Who
Okay.
I
I've heard
Tim
you
Lane.
speak about
I know
him
Tim Lane.
I think he's
over the years.
Yeah, I think he's the best ball-by-baller that I've ever come across.
Okay.
I think he's got a brilliant voice. He's got brilliant command of the commentary, but also he doesn't miss anything, and you feel like you're watching the game when you listen to him rather than listening to the game. And I think that's a huge thing. But I also understand that if you guys haven't heard of him, it's very hard for me.
I know Tim Lane, and so you're putting him up against Jim Maxwell.
I love Jim, and obviously Jim gave me my first big break as a commentator. But I always thought Tim was at a higher level of calling a game than Jim Maxwell was, and Jim's also brilliant. Is Jim in your top 3?
No.
When you say a higher level of calling, can you explain a little bit what you mean by that?
I think Jim is lovely to listen to and is obviously a brilliant describer of cricket, and I think his rhythm is brilliant.
Great voice,
right?
Yeah,
great voice. I think Tim Lane had the ability, as I said before, to essentially I felt like I was watching the game when he was calling it. You know, the level of detail that he would pick out and the way that he broadcast it, I just thought that was the level that I listen when I'm listening to someone, and you know I listen to a lot of the BBC county stuff, and you know I listen to commentary from around the world the same as you do on radio. You know, you listen to it, and that's what I'm looking for with a caller. Great voice is an advantage, but there are a lot of people with great voices who are terrible to listen to. A lot of people who know a lot about cricket who don't know how to describe it, right? You know, things like that. So I just thought that Tim Lane had the perfect combination of all of those different things.
Can I just say one
contenders? Go on.
One quick thing. I'm not going to allow any talkSPORT commentator to be in this, by the way.
That's fine.
Right?
That's
okay?
fine.
Well, that ruins my second
you're looking at contenders, and we've got to come up with a short list of contenders.
Absolutely.
And so how far are you going back? I mean, are you going back to John Arlott? Do you want to bring it forward from them? Because Brian Johnson, Tony Cozier is definitely in my top three.
Yeah, I'd have Tony.
Brian Waddle of New Zealand, wonderful broadcaster. Christopher Martin Jenkins, Jonathan Agnew. So you've got loads of contenders as your main man, as your main descriptive commentator.
I'd put Harsha Bogle in there as well. So he does a lot of...
Harsh is in our TV team, remember?
I know, but he does a lot of ABC
He can't
radio.
double up.
He can't double up. Harsha, sorry.
Harsha.
I tried.
Yeah. Can't double
I'm
up.
going to have to refund him the money.
I think it would seem a bit odd not to have someone from TMS when you consider the 60 years they've brought to the game. So if we're to pick one,
well, I tell you what, this Agnew is a fantastic broadcaster.
What I love about Aggers is that man can tell a story.
Yeah.
See, I almost think
he can tell a story.
I almost think he's a better host and broadcaster than he is purely ball by ball. And I don't mean that. I remember saying this to another commentator once, they got really upset, but I didn't mean it in a negative. What I meant was, I almost think his main skill is not the ball by ball, it is the bits in, not even the bits in between, but you know, tea and lunch and the morning and everything.
Holding it all together.
Yeah. I almost think he's better in that kind of role, which is not, which is generally what your lead commentator does, right?
I'm not good. I mean, everybody would say John Arlott, so I think we're going too far back.
John Arlott, did you listen to John Arlott?
No.
He was a wonderful broadcaster.
No. So I've heard him like...
I've heard it like that.
Yeah. So I don't know how good John Arlott was. So that's
also,
my issue,
I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing or just irrelevant thing, but these guys were all on it from tea onwards, weren't they? I mean,
tea?
From lunch. You know, they get two bottles of finest claret in.
There's a freaker run onto the ground. There's a freaker. Another glass.
Do you know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah.
So
Brian Johnson was mischief, wonderful voice, just mischief.
Yeah. As a kid growing up...
Martin Jenkins, I think, was a better broadcaster than John is.
So I only listen to the Ashes, right? So I don't know all the rest of... I didn't listen to Brian Johnson all that much, and John Arlott, obviously different age group.
Yeah.
So I start listening from, 89 onwards. So I wasn't allowed to stop and watch the TV, but I could listen to the radio as long as I wanted. CMJ's the only one I remember.
Yeah, CMJ.
All the way through my childhood. He was one of the first people that I wanted to meet when I came over.
So we come back to a journalist background.
Yeah.
Journalist, steeped in cricket, very descriptive, articulate.
I thought he was almost perfection the way that he did it, and I was more surprised that
I'm glad you said that. He'd be in my top three.
I can't.
I think CMJ and Tony Cozier, I think, have to be in the top three.
I think CMJ and Cozier have got to be in there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked Tim Lane
personally.
Aggers
would be absolutely thrilled that CMJ is in.
Yeah. Well, Aggers can host. Shall we have a host as well as the three ball ballers?
Yeah, well, Aggers can host it. So we need another one, don't we?
We need one more. Yes. I mean, look, you all know I love Manners, but no talkSPORT people are allowed.
Manners is unlucky there. I think you've done Manners over.
Well, he would be roundabout for me.
You described Manners as an elite broadcaster.
Yeah.
And there are few, in radio, I'd say there's few people that you could describe as truly elite broadcasters when it comes to ball-by-ball cricket, and I think he's one of them.
There's a West Indian radio. Is it Fazil?
Fazir Mohammed.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was going to bring him up too. He hasn't done as much radio, has he?
I haven't heard him for ages.
He has done radio, he's brilliant, but I don't think it would be fair to push him on. Also, this is harder than other things because we don't have radio isn't as dominant in other cultures. Like, South Africa, they don't spend a lot on their radio commentary. No. New Zealand, we talked about Brian Waddle before, obviously.
Brian Waddle is excellent.
He is.
But do you know what I mean? It's not quite the same as other countries that everyone has a TV commentator.
Yeah, right? you can go forever on TV commentators.
But radio
it's a real niche. It's a niche, descriptive, and we were all talking about journalistic backgrounds for the lead commentator.
So we're going to have to should we put Manners in? Are we going to say Manners, CMJ?
So if we've got Tony Cozier and we've got CMJ, then you're probably out of Manners, Agnew, Tim Lane,
we haven't got Tim Lane. You've got Tim Lane.
Do you want Tim Lane?
I'm very happy with Tim Lane. I'm very happy with Tim Lane.
Because not that many people would have heard him, that's all. But you agree with me about Tim Lane?
I do.
Yeah.
Tim Lane.
Okay, it's your show.
Tony Cozier, Christopher Martin Jenkins.
Okay, and no talkSPORT people.
No, well, you said that straight at the beginning.
I did. I just...
You tell Manners.
Sorry, Manners. So, Tim Lane, Christopher Martin Jenkins and Tony Cozier make up our 3 ball-by-ballers.
Yeah.
That would be my dream list. I'm so happy that me and Bumble...
Right? Yeah. And
other than Manners. And can we also just mention Daniel Norcross, who I've worked with for Test match so I was there when Daniel Norcross started, obviously.
He's very thirsty.
He's a thirsty man. We don't have to talk about his drinking.
He was born 30 years too late, wasn't he?
But I think he's also brilliant. And what I like about him is I've worked with him across many different places, right? His ability to fit in to what he needs. So I've worked with him on SEN, and he's like, I get it, this is SEN.
Yeah. So is Bumble.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But, I just think...
Bumble's worked with Norcross on SEN.
Yeah, I just think he's brilliant at working out who he's broadcasting for and how he has to broadcast.
Yeah.
And that is a skill that we realise because we work in the industry, but normal people would never pick that up. But his ability to be like, okay, I'm on this channel now, I need to be like this.
So this is another element. So naming our 3 ball-by-ballers actually is, when I'm putting together a commentary team, it's not the way to go about it, because it's all about matchups.
Yeah.
And it's all about on-air. There's no point in having Tim Lane, Tony Cozier and Christopher Martin Jenkins on air if they don't get on or have a terrible on-air relationship with your summarisers. So obviously we can't really work that one out, but it is about those relationships, those on-air chemistries.
Yeah, that's a given. Your chemistry is terrific.
So
with Dan, it's longevity. We've talked about guys who've got longevity. And so Dan has come in from Test match sofa, got a fabulous voice, knows the game, very descriptive, and he's not phased at all. He just slips in.
Yeah.
He's absolutely fine. And now he's got to get longevity.
Exactly. And he probably won't because of all the thirstiness.
Yeah, probably. Let's enjoy while we can.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.